But we did have one idea. Hey, Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time?
Yeah, sure, Ryan.
What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown City Geekcast. My name is Steady. Joining me, as always, is the man behind the magic. You know him as Joe Garcia.
I have my mic on now, so I said, "Hey, everybody, how's it going?" We have some amazing, fantastic news to get to. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to Maddie B here.
And last but never least, my partner in crime, the one and only Matty B.
As if he needed a better introduction. I couldn't have done it better myself, Ted. And there is news to talk about, and there is shows to talk about. So let's get to it.
Absolutely. If you're in the chat, we want to hear from you. The first thing that we're going to talk about today, you already know, is all about the huge news that dropped just a few hours ago, it feels like. But in case you missed the opening of our show tonight, Ryan Reynolds himself announced across social media that Hugh Jackman is returning as Wolverine for the next Deadpool film. Round of applause, everybody. Not only are we getting a new Deadpool movie, but Hugh Jackman is back as Wolverine. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely incredible. Uh, Gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from you out there. How are you celebrating? Where were you when you heard the news? How excited are you for this movie? Our social media has been blowing up. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Everybody's excited. It's pretty big. So we want to hear from you guys. Let us know. We'll start with you, gentlemen. Matt, I already know where you stand. I'll get to you in a second. Joe, this news. How does it make you feel, man?
No, excited, because we're finally going to get to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine one last time. And hopefully, I'm with Maddie on this one. Hopefully, this will be the last time we see him as Wolverine, and then they'll introduce a new actor as Wolverine. But either way, I'm excited to see this. I know everybody else was as well. So I think it's something that we all knew, though, for quite some time. So just to hear confirmation of it is pretty cool.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. Nobody knew. Nobody had any idea. But somebody who claims he knew, we're going to get to next. Matty B, your initial reaction about Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine.
Well, I wasn't very surprised, to be honest with you. And not that I have concrete, solid sources, but there's places that I've been and seen that called this back when we didn't get the mutant news at D23. And basically, they knew that that was going to come, that there would be backlash from fans. We did get mutant news. And adding Hugh Jackman into the fold of Deadpool 3 is a nice tie over to keep fans at bay until they can establish the real new mutant universe. And that's what happened here. It's clear as day. You can see it just right in front of you. But you know, I'm excited about it too. I don't hate seeing him reprise the role. He did a great job. But it's just the same thought I have about. I don't mind replacing Patrick Stewart as Magneto, not Magneto, but Professor X. I don't mind that. I mean, it's like at some point you got to change over and we got to do something new. And they cannot build a universe around Hugh Jackman in this role because he won't be able to go long enough.
But that's, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I totally get it. And real quick, what's up, Bryce? I see you in the chat. He says, "What's up, you bunch of geeks?" You know what's up. Hugh Jackman's back, and also Gunner is so excited that Hugh Jackman is back as Logan. Awesome, I appreciate that. And look, we got some fans of Matty B. Daniel says Matty B is back. You better believe it. He's been so what's the word I'm looking for?
I've
He's
been,
been
I've
missing
been,
us. He's been missing us so
no,
much.
Ted,
You won't
Ted
even
kicked me
believe
off the
it.
show. Ted kicked me off the show. He said, Ted kicked me straight off the show. He said, look, you're on suspension because your takes are too hot, they're too good, you make people laugh too much. And he
You're
said, you
drinking too much Miller Lite. It's not craft beer. It's too
actually,
much Miller.
it's too much more like
You know the
actually.
real reason that he kicked Maddie off for a little bit. He suspended Maddie because I think he got jealous because Maddie looked better in the Ghostbusters costume than Ted did.
What do you actually call it, Joe? Good.
I call it a
What?
onesie.
Onesie. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny as hell.
We're gonna have to get you one, Joe. Bryce hashtag Team Maddie B. I love it. I love it. Okay,
Thanks,
let's
Bryce.
get to this. The reason why I'm excited is because I don't believe this was like going to happen for sure. I don't believe it was set in stone. I really did feel like Hugh Jackman has played a superhero character long enough. People get tired of it. You think Robert Downey Jr. is ever going to come back? The dude's tired of it. Um, they just want to be done with it. They want to move on. They want to accomplish other things in their careers. These are actual like solid actors we're talking about here. Hugh Jackman's no different. The dude's been on Broadway shows ever since he hung up his adamantium
Well,
claws.
he's also one of my favorite movies of all time, and
What's
I
that?
believe I'm going to get this right. It's not The Illusionist; it's the Prestige
The
with
Prestige is
yeah
fantastic.
with Christian Bale, and that's one of the best movies of all time. He's also been in The Greatest Showman. He has a wide range. And when I say that I knew this was going to happen, I'm not also saying it was set in stone. I think that there was talks about it before. Hey, what do we do? Do we recast? Do we bring back Hugh? He's still age appropriate. All that stuff was up in the air. And then you get backlash from Marvel fans from D23 of saying, hey, we were expecting mutant news. And they finalized the deal right after that. I think it's a new development, but it was in the cards.
I don't know. See, I think you want, as Marvel Studios, not Disney, not anybody else, not Fox, whichever company they are now, as Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige, you are trying to accomplish like 10 things at once. You want to bring in Deadpool long term, right, to the MCU.
Yeah.
You want to make it an easy transition, something that makes sense, but also make sure it's a Deadpool movie. And so I'm not going to claim to know what's going to happen in this movie. I've been telling people online it's going to be bananas. I want and I fully expect a Rick and Morty type escapade through the MCU. And if they use this as the launch pad to thrust Deadpool into the MCU from the Fox universe, then that's even better. This is Deadpool's last hurrah in the Fox universe, where he meets up with Logan, Wolverine, finally, and they go through some hijinks or they get into trouble, whatever the hell it is,
It's going to be funny.
and
It's
and
going
then
to be
he
good.
somehow gets launched or propelled into the MCU. I like it. I don't think this is Hugh Jackman, staking his claim as the MCU Wolverine. I just think this is like our last hurrah. This is the final ride. I did my movie with Stewart, and now I'm gonna do this movie
But
with Reynolds and go out on a bang, literally a
that
bang.
adds to my theory, though. I think, Ted, because here's the thing:
What's that?
Deadpool is an R-rated film. It's not in the MCU, and it's not going to be in the MCU unless they um, slow his roll a little bit, unless they put a parental advisory sticker on it. There's
The
no
last one was
way.
rated R. Yeah,
Yeah, but and so what they did was they slated this to be the biggest R-rated film release ever because it's going to be Wolverine teaming up with Deadpool. This is going to do crazy numbers at the box office. And because Deadpool can't be a part of the MCU, they're going to add in Hugh Jackman for this singular film just so they can tide over the mutant fans who are giving them backlash online.
yeah.
And then they can establish their own mutant universe inside of the MCU. And then that's what I mean. That's obviously what the plan is. Does anyone disagree? I mean, am I just outlandish with that thought?
Joe, what do you think, Joe?
No, I mean, I think he's right on. I mean, Wolverine coming back, is every geek's dream come true. It's
He's
big
the best
news.
superhero ever. The
It's big
Wolverine is the
news.
best.
Yeah, this version of Wolverine is the best. So it's exciting that we're gonna get to see him back, no doubt. But another thing is, it's time to make way for the new, whoever's gonna pick up the mantle after Hugh Jackman. It's time to move on because this is the last Fox property or Fox, I guess, movie in this timeline or in this genre
Sure.
that Deadpool's going to go ahead and portray on film. After this, he's going to have to be integrated some way somehow into the MCU. You know,
Hmm.
so that's going to me. That's the exciting thing. Is like, okay, this is kind of like the last swan song for Deadpool before he gets integrated into the MCU.
Yeah, last hurrah. Go on a bang. This is it right here. Like this is the movie where he goes to the MCU, but at least this one final time we get to party with Wolverine, and I think it's incredible. I really do.
Yeah,
And
because
they can do
Logan was
whatever they
not.
want because it's not going to be. I really don't think it's going to be an MCU movie, meaning that like this is already in the MCU and he could bump into any one of the Avengers and stuff like that. I don't think that's going to be the premise of the movie. I hope not. I think it's a very smart way to transition Wade into the MCU.
I
Well,
agree.
Deadpool can time slip, as we saw in Deadpool 2, so it'd be funny if they have like a cameo somehow where he kind of bumps into Captain America just in passing, like, "What's up, dude?"
Well, and we know he's coming into the MCU because he's also one of the only other characters who's known for breaking the fourth wall, which we're going to get into later. But the She-Hulk, those two are very known for breaking the fourth wall. I can see them writing them into the MCU later on down the way. But it's just I I love this movie because Wolverine does not go out on a swan song, and Logan was a swan song, and he needs to go out on Metallica or something crazy. And I think that this is the way to retire the Hugh Jackman Wolverine is to enter him into this R-rated film, let him go buck wild like Wolverine would. Logan was a swan song. I love that movie. It's a beautiful film,
Love
but
it.
it's an incredible film, but it's a swan song, and that's not the way the Wolverine goes out. And so it's very cool that Hugh Jackman will reprise the role, and maybe this is the last time he assumes the character, and maybe a little bit more of a just full metal show.
Yes. I think we're saying the same things. I don't know if we're disagreeing on anything at all. I
Yeah,
want this to be balls to the wall, zany action comedy, and there's a ton of people that are like complaining that the Phase 4 is too funny already, but like it's Deadpool now. So like everybody needs to be on board with this. They should not have any
yeah,
limitations
because
whatsoever.
Deadpool is actually funny, so I mean that helps a lot.
That does help a lot. I agree. So hopefully everybody's on board. Daniel says I would sort of like a movie version of Deadpool kills Marvel, aka Fox Marvel. I
Well,
like it.
like it was like
I've heard
Deadpool
that from
kills the
like 10
contract,
people.
basically. That's actually a pretty good idea. I haven't heard that yet.
I've I'm not saying Daniel's wrong. I'm saying I've also heard that a few times from people. A few comments in our post today on Facebook said like That would be cool if Deadpool's the person, entity,
Who
the
kills Fox?
force that kills off the the Fox universe.
That's
I'm
actually a
down.
really good idea. Yeah.
I'm totally down. That's so cool. Awesome. We want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on Hugh Jackman joining Deadpool 3, returning as Wolverine? Do you have theories or do you just want to celebrate? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know exactly what you're thinking. Let us know exactly how you want this to go. Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? I think it's great that this is the last tie. This is the last tie to that universe. Well, Ryan Reynolds is going to go forward as Deadpool, but was Deadpool ever really a Fox property? They did not want to make that movie only until Ryan or somebody close to him leaked the test footage. Did Fox say, "Oh, okay, we'll go ahead and make your movie, but you only get like 50
It's a
million."
tough,
It
it's a
was
tough
something
movie to make.
ridiculous.
So if you're a
They
suit
gave
sitting
they
at the
gave him no
boardroom,
budget on the first
you're
one.
like, wait, so it's a superhero film? Okay, we'll do a PG, and we'll get a lot of parents and kids in there, and they'll buy a lot of popcorn. And the other side to say, actually, no, 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 not at all. So it's actually super R rated, and we're going to deal with a lot of adult themes. So then the people in the boardroom are like, oh, this sounds a lot different than what you were originally proposing. And then they have to order three more martinis, and then they have to
I
really
give
decide.
Fox no credit. Fox gets no credit for Deadpool success.
Yeah, I agree. It's a juggernaut, and this is going to be the highest rated, highest viewed R rated film. That's the way
And
to put
probably
it.
highest grossing
Yeah,
R-rated film.
art of all time. I guarantee you, this is going to break the box office, and I know we're going to be there. Ted has his hookup at Alamo. If anybody's listening and you want to hook up at Alamo, Ted's got this weird hookup where we get
Yeah.
private screenings.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Again, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know your thoughts about the news today. So excited. So excited. You guys are awesome. My phone was nonstop notifications of comments and likes and shares for like 30 minutes straight. I love that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I'm excited if they can't tell, but I'm nursing a sore back right now, so
he's
I'm
in a
in
lot of
pain.
pain.
I'm in pain, but I'm happy.
If Joe passes out, it's 10,000 stars.
It
If
is.
Joe passes out, can we get some agreement in the chat here? If Joe passes out on stream, we get 10,000 stars. So,
Yeah,
you know.
I'm being held together with duct tape.
We brought him out on strings before the show.
Yeah, strings, duct tape, the whole bit. It's like the weekend at Bernie's. I'm just being held up with some stuff right now.
Awesome. Let's
Yeah,
get to our next topic. I know Joe's eager to talk about this because I don't think we've heard from you yet, right,
Bring the
Joe?
power.
fuck
We'll
that.
get to that in a second. I know you can't wait to talk about that, but no. First, we're talking about Andor. So, if you're watching at home, and you missed our Andor instant reaction stream, we talked with a few friends of ours about the Andor premiere, and then I said we're gonna talk about this some more on our regular show, but we wanted to do that special stream for everybody after we had just seen it all together, not together, but we watched it all on the same day. So 3 episodes is too much to do a summary. I know I normally do summaries. I'm not going to do a summary behind all this, but basically we get the idea that Cassian grew up sort of on this um, primitive planet in a village. He stumbled upon a ship. He was taken at a young age, lost track of his family at the time. He is now on the run from security forces. I don't really know what the exact name of these folks are, but he's on the run from some security forces, and he finally meets up with an individual named Luthen. And Luthen is going to be sort of his tie into the this new rebellion that's just getting started. It feels like it's very early on. They probably don't even have a name yet. There's no T-shirts. There's no logos. They ain't got nothing like that. Very early on in the rebellion, but Luthen's going to be his way of getting a away from trouble and b into this new organization that's going to help topple the empire, or at least create the spark that will eventually topple the empire. Joe, I'm going to start with you, man. Your biggest takeaways from this 3 episode premiere. I see you, Dave. Dave is in the chat, says episode 4 drops in less than 4 hours. David from the Star Wars Stuff podcast, he joined us on our stream. If you haven't seen it, go check out our instant reaction stream after this one. But yeah, Joe, your thoughts, man. Want to hear from you?
Well, Paxton Chrissy saying sounds some what like Mandalorian series or some I guess he meant sounds like, the Mandalorian series. Ain't like
I
the
can see that.
Mandalorian series. This is a kind of a when these first three episodes, the takeaway was they did a great job of building the characters up, as far as the character development and setting the scene, the stage for what's to come. I think they did a really good job in that regards, even though it is slow burn. It is a slower paced movie. But the thing is that it gets you away from the Skywalker saga, where it's now introducing new characters, new worlds, things that we haven't really seen before. And to me, that's really what made Rogue One so interesting. It's like you have this different cast of characters, and you're not dealing with Jedi's and Sith so much. It's the humans, regular old folk, spies, espionage, that kind of stuff that's taking center stage, and that's a good thing that Andor does. It's building these characters, building these worlds up, and if you just go and watch these first 3 episodes back to back to back, it leaves you at a cliffhanger. It leaves you wanting to know more and more and more. What's going on? What's going on? Does it have a little bit of problems? Sure, it does. But overall, the little bit of nitpicking that we do, it lacks in comparison to the quality of the product that's out there. So Andor to me is a refreshing take on the Star Wars saga, period. And it's something that I think is going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be one of the highest rated Star Wars series, probably going to be up there with The Mandalorian, I would think.
I completely agree. High quality, big production, solid acting, great cast of characters and actors and actresses, if you
Oh,
ask
great
me.
writing.
Great writing. I love it. Like you already mentioned, a lot of refreshing things that we haven't seen before, a lot of new elements in the Star Wars universe, and we're all here for it. We love to see it, and I'm enjoying the ride. I talked about it a lot last week. A lot of the same key points that you had mentioned, but also Diego Luna. I think he's a very different character than what we've seen before. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's not like Luke Skywalker, who was a little bit naive, at a young age, to just kind of stumble upon Ben Kenobi in this adventure that he was partaking on. But Cassian's, very different. He's got a chip on the shoulder. He's got something to prove. He doesn't trust anyone really. He looks a lot out for himself and just a few people around him. But other than that, he's a very different character than what we're used to. And so I'm very excited. And he's just a fantastic actor. Matt, I know we talked about it in a lot last week, but any further thoughts from you about the premiere?
Oh, sorry, it took me a second because I was biting my tongue. This show,
Oh my God, here we go. Should I
this
mute him now?
show, no, because we're not kissing ass. We're not glossing over everything. Someone's got to have a different take. This, to me, is a great show. The direction, the way it's filmed, the drama, the acting, every bit of that I have zero problem with whatsoever. It's incredible. I didn't mind watching any of those 3 episodes. And I can't wait to watch the next one tomorrow morning when I wake up and have my coffee. But it's not in Star Wars. You could have placed this same story or anything, the same everything in a different universe, and it's the same fucking show. I can't do this anymore with Kathleen Kennedy and hiring people who don't like Star Wars. Tony Gilroy is on the record. He does not like Star Wars.
Did he say he doesn't like it, or he just not familiar as
No,
much as you are?
he said he referenced Wikipedia when they were doing Rogue One. I mean, come on. If you're a Star Wars fan, this is unacceptable. And it's just the way it is. The show is good. It's fine. But it's not Star Wars. It's lacking every element that George Lucas made Star Wars special with. And that's what they're trying to make special about this show. They're like anti Star Warsing Star Wars, and they were using that as a marketing ploy. I don't like it, and I don't agree with it. I like the show just fine, but don't shit on my fandom, and don't just say, don't try to troll the fandom too by saying we're not going to do any sort of fan service, like actually make it seem like Star Wars. We're just going to make a show. Tony Gilroy is on the record saying he doesn't like Star Wars.
All right, we cannot let you take this much time off the show ever again. Okay.
I'm just saying, it's not it's a great show. It's not a Star Wars show at all.
If by the end of this season you feel the same way, I will totally say your point
I
is
have a
valid. But I think
five episode rule.
we're 3 episodes in, and we just got off this planet. And I think when we meet the rebellion and we start seeing these key players from
Key
the original
players?
trilogy, yes, there's going to
I
be a
don't know
lot.
if we'll get it.
There's
I
going
think
to be a
we'll get
lot
teased
of
with the Emperor at the end. That's what they'll do. I don't know
we're
if we're
gonna
going
have
to get it.
there's gonna be some people from the rebellion. We already know we're in the show. There's already
They're
people
going to
from the
piecemeal
rebellion.
it 30 minutes a week for the next a million weeks. How many episodes does this thing
Well,
have?
let me ask you a question, Matty B. I gotta know,
Yeah.
man. Were you a fan of the Book of Boba?
No, I hated the Book of Boba Fett.
All
But
right.
no, actually, I that's a lie because I liked the episodes where they realized the Book of Boba Fett sucked and they turned it into the Mandalorian 1.5. I like that part. That was sick.
See, so he wasn't fleeced, Teddy. He wasn't fleeced by the Book of Boba. Teddy was fleeced. He loves anything that
I
you
Well,
said
know.
Ted,
it was good.
well,
Is,
I
no, no,
knew
no.
what they're going for.
no,
You guys think when I
Ted
say something's
loves
good, when you
movies.
guys say what you guys think when I say something's good that it's like the best ever.
like
No, the Book
you
of
go
Boba
back
Fett's
and watch those episodes. Teddy was
watch the
oh
episodes.
man, just like
Watch the
the best
episodes.
ever.
Ted,
Book of Boba is the best
There's
ever
no
Star
quote
Wars.
in there. You guys are
you,
crazy. If you
you
this
you
is good,
know that this isn't
plenty
Star
of
Wars.
Star Wars coming in to this
It's
show.
not Star
This
Wars.
one. This
It's
is a
not Star
Star
Wars.
Wars show. You see this guy? You see Diego Luna? Look at Star Wars face.
Diego Luna, so he just assassinates a guy right off the bat. At least we got like, and
Yeah.
I get the Han Solo did kind of the same thing, but it's just different. The way it felt was different. The marketing of this movie is based on not being a Star Wars or not movie, but it's a show, but it's all a movie.
Yeah.
It's,
So what do you need to make it a Star Wars show? You need to have Jedi
no,
Knight.
because
Yeah.
no, it
Saul
needs to,
Guerrera, some
no,
rebellion
no,
people.
no, no.
It'll be
It's not
fine.
character based. It's none of this is character based.
Some
Nothing I'm saying
wars
is character
around
based.
stars.
No, it's all about fun. It's all about family. It's all about timeline. It the way George Lucas made his movies and those Star Wars movies. The reason why we love them so much is based on a certain ideology of how you make a movie, and that was very different for the time. And he has a lot of critiques on his too for dialogue and things like that. But this is not Star Wars. There's no way you can package this and deliver it. It's like you put Pepsi in a can and sold it to someone like it was a Coke. It's not the same thing.
So Matty B is basically saying that Andor is basically the Coke's new formula from back in the day. It's not the original Coke. So he
Yeah,
don't like it.
but no, it's just not Star Wars. And I don't know if you guys could make an argument the other way to say that it was. If the way George Lucas made films, the way Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau make their shows, it's this does not fit inside of it. It doesn't even fit next to Rogue One. As far as Rogue One, the second that thing took off, you knew it was Star Wars. Andor's did not feel that way.
On the flip side, I would say the sequel trilogy is not Star Wars because they didn't follow a coherent storytelling narrative,
No,
which
but
is
no, it doesn't matter though because the
very
person who created
key.
it said so.
What?
The person who created it said so. He said, "This is Star Wars." So, okay, so it's Star Wars. It's he added a lot more things that he didn't have the technological ability to do in the '70s, but fine. But the man who created Star Wars created the prequels too. So
I'm
you can't
behind on
judge
the
it on the
chat.
same scale.
I'm behind on the chat here. David says clearly you don't have to like Star Wars to make good Star Wars. Daniel says Tim Burton hated Batman too, and he made one of the greatest Batman movies ever. Paxton says Tim Burton Batman was good. Yeah.
But this
And
is not
Daniel
Tim
says,
Burton.
I thought it
Andor
was
is not
about
Tim Burton
Star
Batman.
Wars.
Okay.
Daniel says, I thought it was about wars, Star Wars. And Paxton
No.
says, yeah, best part of Boba Fett was better when Mandalorian came in on the show. I think we can all kind of agree with that part.
Book of Boba was just a segue for a quick little season of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, they didn't want to cancel Book of Boba Fett, so they put in what they had already filmed for The Mandalorian into the show and made
They
it
had to
happen.
get the ratings up because that thing was tanking
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, bad.
I I like this show. I like the way they're telling the story. We're learning things from the beginning. I want to go on this adventure, this caper, whatever
I
it is.
like the show too.
I'm totally down.
Matty
And
B
we're
likes
gonna
the
get
ride.
I,
He likes the ride, but
I'm
he wants you to
just
drop him off at the next stop.
I'm just saying I like the show too. It's a
the
good
Star Wars
show.
stuff is coming.
Maybe we'll
He
see.
has to infiltrate the Empire.
They're
That's
just
gonna
setting it
happen
up.
more than
They
once.
they
But we
gotta set
already
up the scene.
there's only so many things that can. I mean, we'll see. I'm just saying
We'll
we'll
see.
see.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's see here. Paxton earlier he said that this show is a lot like Mandalorian. He just means that they both taken as a
They're
child and put
kids.
into a certain group. I haven't seen it yet, so definitely sounds like I need to watch. Unless Maddie convinced you. Well, he still likes it, but very less Star Warsy than he's expecting. And Daniel says he heard that Legacy of Nerd Guy was making a lot of great points on Andor. Yeah, I agree. Legacy Nerd Guy is fantastic. That's why we have him on the show so much. You and him look a lot like Daniel, but I don't think y'all are related.
Yeah, not at all.
Uh,
Not at all.
not at all. Not at all whatsoever.
They don't even live
And
in the same state.
let's see. I guess that's it. I'm excited. We talked about it. I don't want to go through the entire summary and all that stuff, but I like the characters. I like what they're doing. I like that we're already being thrust into the rest of the storyline. And yeah, we kind of some things have been spoiled. We know certain people have been cast as like leaders in the rebellion. I'm not going to say who for anybody who doesn't want to get spoiled, but we're going to be meeting certain people that we've always wanted to hear about. So kind of a lot like Boba Fett when he joined the Mandalorian. People were always like, "I want to see more Boba Fett." Well, there you go, folks, more Boba Fett. So we're going to be kind of meeting some people that we've seen before from the original trilogy, and I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what they do with that and how many other characters we can expect to make a cameo. Saul Guerrera, I'm sure, is around somewhere. Will we ever get a reference to or a hint of a Jedi or a Sith Lord or something like that? I think anything is possible, and they don't want to tread too far or too closely into the Skywalker saga. But I do feel like plenty of Star
Daniel,
Wars is coming up pretty soon.
Daniel is saying we talking ranks.
We might as well be right, but yes, that's also on the way. How interesting that we have so many shows this year that are a part of another universe, an established universe, yet so many people have criticisms that they're not close enough into the universes that they are based within. Or
Daniel's also
Damon's Hot D. Those are coming.
Maddie loves him some hot D, man.
Those are coming.
Hot D
Those are on the
is
way.
by far one of the best shows on TV right now. Very smartly written. But if you guys haven't checked in, Dahmer, guys, Dahmer, check it out. But
I'm a
Hot D is the best show on TV right now. Anyways, go ahead.
That's all I have on this topic. You guys want to say anything else, Joe?
No, I'm looking forward to the next episode of Andor. See where this whole thing's gonna go, and see who makes some appearances. I think that's really what some of the Star Wars fans are really looking forward to, seeing some cameos.
But he's not. They marketed not doing that.
Well, we're gonna see. You believe everything they tell you, Maddie. You see, that's a mistake.
No. When they put it that way, I do believe them. I
I
think
don't.
that I think they're not going to do any of that. No fan service, none of that. That was their marketing plan.
Isn't that we talked about this last week on during our premiere, our instant take stream? Like we've already gotten enough Easter eggs in the first three episodes where The director said there's going to be no Easter eggs.
No, it's like
Do
watching
not look
Gotham.
for Easter eggs.
What they're doing is they're giving you Gotham. Gotham is a Batman show without Batman in it, and it just gives you a whisper of it playing in the sandbox, but it's not a Batman show, and that's
That's
what this
okay.
is.
That's okay because we still have the take on video. So when Maddie's proven wrong, we'll make sure that we go back and play
Well, no,
the
make
video
sure
again.
clip it now. If you're watching, clip it
Clip it now.
and save it and post it later. I'm more than willing to be wrong. I just
And
don't
you know
see
what?
it in the
Maddie's gonna
cards.
say, "Take a picture, clip it. I don't give up."
I don't.
Awesome. Well, look, I feel like you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how much Star Wars is on the way. And so I think you're going to change your tune a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Paxton says if this goes with Rogue One, I wouldn't think it would have a Jedi or sneak them in because Jedi's are in hiding.
There'll be no
Yes,
Jedi's.
I don't mean that we're going to see some like major cameos. I think they want to stay away from that, but they still exist in this universe. You still have people like Ahsoka Tano is around, Kenobi's around, Yoda's somewhere in this universe right now. So they will just mention them in passing. Some maybe a message is being sent here or there, and just to kind of keep tabs on people. Possibly, I'm not saying it's happening, just possibly. And David also says Tony Gilroy has no idea the Easter eggs are Easter eggs because he is not a fan. Well, there you go.
He's
That
not.
explains
I
it.
mean, he said it very clearly. He
So if
doesn't like
he if he
those.
if Tony tells you there's no Star Wars in the show, but he doesn't know what Star Wars is, couldn't that also mean there's a lot of Star Wars in the show because he doesn't know any better?
I mean, if coulda, should, if ifs and buts were cherries and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
All right, all right, all right. Awesome. I love it. We want to hear from you guys. The fourth episode of Andor is dropping in just under 4 hours now. What are your takes on the premiere? What are your theories going forward? We want to hear from you. Drop them in the comments, or you can always send us a message on Facebook by clicking that send message button. If you are listening to this on a podcast app, we want to hear from you guys as well. You can also send us an email on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. We're going to be talking about She-Hulk episode 6. I am loving where this is going. I might be the only one, but here we go. I'm going to do the summary, and
Oh
it
no,
goes a little
he's
something
doing it.
like this. Here we go. Jen gets asked to be a bridesmaid. Mr. Immortal wants another divorce. Titania crashes the wedding and picks a fight. And an ominous group is planning another attack on Jen. And time. See, record time, Joe. Record time. Why you give me a hard time? We want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on episode 6? Joe, we'll start with you, man. Uh, what are you liking episode 6, aka Just Jen?
No, it's just getting back to just Jen. Funny thing is, she wants to showcase her new digs. Her new clothes that she got, her new outfits. So she goes to this bridesmaid or the wedding. To hang out with her fellow bridesmaids, dressed as She-Hulk, and the bride's like, "I don't want you to outdo me. I want you to just come in as Jen. I don't want you to be She-Hulk." So she has to revert back
At
to Jen
first, right? Yeah,
at
yeah.
first, and
At
she's
first.
wearing, and it's so awkward because she's wearing this really baggy dress now. She's just swimming in this thing, and she's just trying to make the best that she can do, out of this situation. And it's like she's just like being treated as the ugly stepsister, man. Even the bride, who is a friend of hers, but she hasn't really talked to in so long, is delegating menial tasks to her that are beneath her, and she's just like, man, whatever. I'm just gonna get through this thing. And you could just see, like, she's just not happy. And then she decides to try to have a good time, and that's when Titania comes in and takes care of the situation. Uh, as far as trying to dampen what's going on here with Jen, and sucker punches her. So this whole episode is just, it's a hot mess, man. It's just showing the life of Jen, which is, it's not very glamorous at this point. Some of the better things that happen come as She-Hulk, not as Jen.
We also have a fan. David Lozano in the chat says, "I love She-Hulk. Awesome. I I love it too. It's a lot of fun." Let's see here. Matty B, give it to us, man. Episode 6. You enjoying this one, or was it a step down from last week?
It wasn't a step in any direction. It stayed exactly where it was.
Ooh, is that good or bad to you though?
Well, I mean, think about the story. Could you disagree? What did we learn here? Where did we go? After episode 1 and 2 of She-Hulk, I was a huge fan of. I thought the way that they were taking the direction, we started to build potential villains, a potential storyline we're heading towards. Um, and this is just another episode where nothing
Oh.
happened. Nothing happened at all except for we found out that Jen has shitty friends. We found out that she still likes to be flirted to by men. We found out that Titania still hates her. We found out that the Hulk can still beat up Titania. I'm just trying to think of anything we found out during this episode other than her assistant now kind of becoming closer with the lawyer she had a little bit of a problem with there for a while. That might be a bit of a development. And then she tried to call Jen, and Jen didn't answer the phone. And then Jen was trying to call Bruce, didn't answer the phone. But I don't think that this show is doing anything whatsoever.
You're right.
I'm willing to do, but
You're
no,
right.
I don't. But I don't want to hear. That's not what. You're in the
You're right.
mindset. You're in the mindset of doing this, and
You're
um,
right.
the show writers don't want you to do that. It's not good TV. It's not going anywhere.
It's the
If
You're right.
but no, it's not Seinfeld though.
It
It's not.
is.
No,
It
it's not.
is.
But
It
if
is.
they're trying to do that, they're failing miserably,
It's
Ted.
a
It's
sitcom.
a
It is.
bad show.
You
It's not good.
did you watch our stream last week? It's exactly what I said. I said
It's a sitcom.
But
I
no,
finally figured it out for myself.
if it's
I'm
a
like,
sitcom, it's
it's
not
a
a good
sit
one.
it's a
I,
sitcom. It's not
I'm
supposed to go
okay.
anywhere. We
Okay,
don't
it's
need
a sitcom.
villains. We don't
It's
need a
not good.
plot. It's
Even if
Seinfeld.
it's a sitcom, it's not good. Seinfeld was one of the greatest TV shows of all fucking time.
It never went
It,
anywhere. It never went anywhere.
but it was one of the greatest shows of all time.
You're
This
right, but
show,
it
if
never
it's
had a
trying,
story.
but it doesn't matter. If She-Hulk is trying to be a sitcom, it's failing miserably. It's not good. It's just not good, Ted. It is not good at all. It doesn't make you like any of the characters. It makes you not like Jen because she can't have control with her
You didn't
friends.
like Madison.
It makes you not like her friends
You
because her
did
friends
not
are shitty.
love
No,
Madison.
let me build this case for you.
What is going on?
No, we're talking about She-Hulk. We're talking about Attorney at Law. Let me build a
You
case for
said
you.
no characters though. You said no characters.
What reason so far do we have to like Jen?
She's cute in a dress.
But okay. What reason do we have to like Titania?
You're not
What
supposed to
reason do
like
we have to
Titania.
like
She's a bee.
what reason do you have to like Jen's friends?
Which
What
ones?
reason do you have to like anybody in the show?
Her friends help her. Her friends
Her
take her
no,
to
she has
get
one friend who helps her.
outfits.
That's her assistant, who just bailed on her in this last episode, kind of because she's getting very close to that lawyer that Jen didn't like. So they started to make amends when she represented her. But all I'm saying is,
Yeah.
there is no rhyme or reason to this show, and you
Yes.
can't. But no, you can't say that Seinfeld. Seinfeld was a good show. This is
You're
a
right.
bad show.
Let's get to the chat. David Lozano says Mr. Immortal was played by the male Twi'lek from Book of Boba, who constantly says apologies. David Pasquesi. Awesome. I did not know that he played the Twi'lek in there. Daniel says that Titania Fall was fail army material, though. I love it. Absolutely. Daniel says we found out people are trying to figure out how to kill She-Hulk. Ah, people are trying to figure that out. Eric Byrne says, as Dr. Nick says on The Simpsons, hi, everybody. That's my impression of Dr. Nick on The Simpsons. Lozano says, it's Ally McBealish. Absolutely. I agree. Very sitcom-y. There you go. And David also says, She-Hulk is a show about nothing. I want you to know, Matt, we agree with you. And as of 2 weeks ago, I would have been right there with you. I would have said, like, Give me a story. Give me a plot. Remember our first 3 or 4 streams about the show? I said I'm waiting for the plot. I'm waiting for the plot. It took
Right.
me until episode 5 to figure out we're not supposed to get one. We're not supposed to ask for one. We're supposed to challenge our inner inner workings and our what's it called when you are your inner programming that makes you want and desperately need a plot or an antagonist, and you don't have to have one. And it's a comic book show, so we're already trained. We're trained to want a bad guy, a villain, somebody nefarious. We're trained to want all those things, and
I did think of,
instead, you could just have a superhero character going to a wedding and screwing it up and getting drunk. Like, I'm
but I
totally fine
agree.
with that.
What you're saying doesn't like. I get what you're saying. I
Yeah,
don't. I'm not in the. I've already given up on the fact that there's a story here.
you're right.
I'm viewing it the last few episodes as a sitcom. I have
Yes.
given up on the idea that there's a story there. It's just not good.
Okay.
He
Okay. Okay.
It's
That's
just
fine.
not good.
Maddie don't get it, man. It's okay, dude. You wanna you
No,
wanted
I think
something
he
a little
gets it.
bit
He
more
gets it.
I
substance. You
know.
want
I
something a
totally
little bit
get it.
more
It's just not
substance.
good.
He totally gets it, but it's not his cup of tea. It's he's not gonna be on board with the sitcom ish. He
I'm
gets that it's a
sorry.
sitcom. He gets it. You don't have to apologize. It's not for everybody. It's charming. It's very charming to me. It's funny. It's not laugh
Maybe you
out
have to
loud
be a
funny,
parent. Maybe you
but
have to
it
be
is
a
funny.
parent. I'm
Yeah.
not a parent, so this type of
No, I don't
stuff,
think this
I
has.
don't get it at all.
I,
It's just nothing in the world makes sense at all.
yeah, I
There's
think it was
no
after the third or the fourth episode. I think it's when me and Ted started talking about it, and we both were saying this is just nothing more than just a sitcom. It's a comedy. It's much like just in tune with the comic book. When the comic book, she breaks the fourth wall. She's just a character that likes to have fun, and she's comedic. And the way she's portrayed. It's not something that's not a character to generally be taken very serious. A lot of nothing happens in what you read in the comic books about her, and the thing is that there's even other things that they haven't even touched upon, because I get that it's made for TV, so there's certain things that they can't do, but I think it's been true to life to how the character is portrayed in the comic books. They're doing a good job.
I also have a question for any females that are watching right now. Does the comedy work more for you? Because I do feel like a lot of the jokes are more humorous for women because these are very sort of female episodes, not female situations, scenarios that females find themselves in. I have no idea what it's like to be a bridesmaid, but I know from people I've talked to, I know from my wife that being a bridesmaid is like hell. Like nobody wants to be a bridesmaid. It's like a shitty job. Whereas a groomsman, it's a big party. It's a big party until your boy gets married. But for bridesmaids, I have no experience, but I always hear there's like a negative stigma around it. And this sort of kind of makes jokes about that. Like they make her do all the crappy work. And as a bridesmaid, you're there to sort of keep your friend from going nutso before she gets hitched. I feel like that's part of the job.
her
If
friend,
I'm wrong, yeah.
her friend.
Well, she's not
If
her
anything, this
I'm not
show, I
saying
don't
her
even know.
friend, I'm saying in general, if you're a bridesmaid, one of your jobs is to, like, do all the crappy work and just make things happen and keep the
Yeah.
wedding from, like, imploding,
So
until
here's a
your
question. Here's a
friend gets
question.
hitched. What's that?
Because I would talk to Lauren. Lauren stopped watching the show with me after episode 3. She said, "I'm done with this." She didn't like the humor
She needs
about
to
it
get
at
back into
all.
it.
It's just, I think actually, Jen Walters, this is not a show for young girls. The demographic they're going for, I mean, so
I agree. This
we
is
want
more
to make
mature.
sure that you don't know how to set boundaries with your friends, so they can treat you like crap, and you'll just deal with it and kind of chuckle it off. We want to make sure that you're promiscuously just falling for every man that just gives you any little bit of attention. I don't think this sets a good example at all. In fact, I don't know how like women would even look at this and be like, "Oh, this is like a really good representation of how we go
but
about our days.
every sitcom was like this.
Girls love being bridesmaids. Girls
Jerry Seinfeld had 1,000 girlfriends on Seinfeld.
girls love being bridesmaids. They love it.
Are you
It's a
sure?
100%. It's an
I don't
honor,
think you're right
and,
about that.
you get fitted for a dress,
The
and
dress is always hideous. That's
no,
the
you get to
joke.
be a part of it. You get I mean, most of the women I know like being bridesmaids, and but it's because that their brides are not like this girl that was on this show. That she was a total B word.
She
Am I
was.
wrong?
No, you're
So,
right. She was a bridezilla. They all get that way.
but Jen should have just said, "I'm the She-Hulk. I don't need to deal with your stuff." And you're being completely crazy. But no, she just sucked it up and just sat there and said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to do my thing." That's not a good example.
I want to hear from the females that are watching us, if there's any at all. If you're a female watching this show, I want to hear from you. Does this show make more sense?
I could bring a female in if you want. I could actually bring a
But she
live.
has to get all the way through the 6 episodes. Like she's got to watch all 6 to know
But
for
girls
sure.
like being bridesmaids. They love it. In fact, if they get left off the bridesmaids list,
Can you at
they're
least
kind
ask
of
her that question?
they're perturbed about it.
Please
They're
ask Lauren that
perturbed about
question.
it. They're like,
Go ask
"Wait,
Lauren.
I thought
Ask
we were really
Lauren.
good friends. How did I not make the bridesmaids list?" That's actually how
See,
it
here's
goes.
the thing, though.
Ask
There's a
Lauren.
big difference when you have to deal with being a bridesmaid and you're Latina. The Latino people are very, very passionate people, and there's a lot of drama that goes on, even at a family function, something as simple as a barbecue.
My
You know,
girlfriend's a Puerto Rican, so I mean, I
I'm just
know.
saying, it's
I
crazy, dude.
do you mind asking her? Please text her right now and ask her
I'll go get
is
her.
is being a bridesmaid always a great time, or are there things what's the word
We'll
you're
see if she
afraid of?
loves me.
And in the meantime, Daniel says, I can say my lady who enjoys Marvel but not a diehard was very in tune with this episode. I think it's spot on for the female audience. Daniel says, I don't think we are the audience here. No, definitely not. Not whatsoever. Lozano says, I think Jen met a good guy last episode, though. Absolutely. I think she totally did. Hopefully it sticks around. Hopefully there's no plot twist where he's like in bed with this organization that's trying to grab a sample of her blood. Hopefully that's not what's happening. I would feel really bad for her if that's what happens. And then Daniel says, I don't think he's right about the bridesmaid. No. Have you seen the movie The Bridesmaid, Matt? Have you seen the movie The Bridesmaid? That's how all weddings are for bridesmaids. All of them. All of them.
I just talked to her, and she
What did she
said
say?
this. She
What did she
said
say?
this.
What did she say?
We're all going to be kind of right because here's the thing. She said that it's annoying and frustrating if you don't get chosen to be a bridesmaid, but if you don't get chosen to be a bridesmaid, it's not the worst thing ever because there's less work involved. She
Yes.
said there's a moment of annoyance that you weren't chosen to be a bridesmaid, and then there's the relief that you don't have to do all the work involved.
There's a ton of
So,
work involved. A
but
ton of
yeah, but
a ton of
this
work like Jen. She's like, "Hey, can you go clean up around here?" I was like, "Oh hell no! You
I
better
want to
clean
ask
up
you,
your damn self."
of all the shows you've ever watched, is
Yeah.
this show is this show good, guys? Just be honest. Just reach into the depths of your soul and just give me the most honest answer, the realest answer you can possibly give me. Is this show good?
It's a good show about nothing, Maddie. That's the thing.
It sucks.
It's a good show. It's a good show about nothing. It's a great show about nothing.
Seinfeld was a good show about nothing. Seinfeld was a great show about nothing. So on the Seinfeld scale, Seinfeld's 10. Where does She-Hulk land?
It's probably a 7 or 8 for me. 7.5.
Now I would have to put it at a 6. The only reason being is that you have Jen being the primary focus, and the thing that made Seinfeld so much better is that the focus wasn't just primarily just on one character at times. It revolved around the other different cast of characters, like Kramer, for example, and
Yeah.
watching what he does. And the good thing is that in Seinfeld, all these characters were so good, and you felt a connection to him because you thought this or you did that. So that's the one thing I think that the She-Hulk doesn't do a good job of is the connections. While it introduces a bunch of new characters, you don't really care about them so much, and there's really not a lot said about them. It's all focused on Jen, who's awkward and quirky and all that kind of stuff. And it's her as a character as just Jen, it's very bland. But when she's She-Hulk, that's when the action happens.
See, I think the opposite is true. Like, I like her when she's Jen. I think she's super freaking funny.
She's just
And
quirky. Yeah,
when she's Jen,
nerdy.
she's just sort of doing this and posing, and everyone's like, "Hey, great boobs, nice ass," and that's all it is every time that am I wrong there?
But
I like it when she's Jen.
there's a little bit of animosity. You sense it in her voice. It's like she's jealous. It's a compliment, but it's a half compliment because there's jealousy and it's in there. And I don't want to speak for all women. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but that happens, right? That happens where
Yeah, you can't
women
look better than me at my
compliment
wedding. Yeah.
with stuff like that, or just when women give a compliment to one another, and sometimes they're like, "Was that really a compliment, or is it just like a half-assed compliment, but she really means the opposite?" That happens all the time. I'm laughing because I can hear my wife like talking about these things that happen at work, or how somebody did this thing at work or something. I'm just like, "Oh, that's totally a thing right there."
Being raised by a
Um,
bunch of women, I can tell you women are petty as hell, dude. It goes beyond what you think too, man. Like,
those are funny.
yeah.
Well,
They
I was raised by a pack of wolves,
I
so I
believe
could.
it. I
Yeah.
believe it. You are a alpha male, dude. Alpha male. Uh, Lozano says, "I thought all women want that ring." Absolutely. Daniel says, "I think that means they don't like being bridesmaids." Daniel says, "One ring to rule them all." Lozano says all the main characters are borderline jerks in Seinfeld. Jen and her friend are kind of moral people. Absolutely. And then Daniel says, mine says she doesn't like being a bridesmaid at all. I'm telling you, I feel like that's a real thing. I feel like you are dreading because you know you're not going to have any fun. You are on a job, you are put to work. There's the makeup and hair and all that stuff, and you don't want to deal with that. And that's just what I think.
It's a duty.
It is a duty, absolutely. And whereas groomsmen are like, put on a tux, get drunk a little bit before the wedding. Yeah, I'm there. I'll do
Well,
it. No
but
problem.
we have stuff to do too. Like, if you get chosen as like best man or part of the, you have to help plan the bachelor part. I mean, we have the
That's
same
not a
exact
job. That's
responsibilities.
fun. That's fun. That's not a
But
job.
no, they have to plan the bachelorette party. The only hard part about being a bridesmaid, I can guarantee, because I've been to a million fucking weddings. All the only problem is that hour and a half before the wedding, where we get bridezillas, and the bridezillas, they're it's their day. They know they're going to get pictures taken of them and everything else. So for an hour and a half, you have to deal with a woman who knows she's going to be judged for the next 2 hours, which sucks for them, and it shouldn't be that way. But it's just the rest of the thing is it's the same roles and responsibilities for the most part, except for that hour and a half before the wedding.
You know what? I'll tell you one thing. The one of my oof, I won't say whose it was. One of the last ones I went to, the bridesmaids all had to meet at like 8 in the morning because there was one makeup person, there was one hair person, and so you had to line them up. They had to get all these things done. Oh, and by the way, these weren't free. You had to pay for them all. So that was at least a few $100s you had to pay yourself the day of the wedding to get your makeup and your hair done. I'll admit not all weddings are like that for sure, but for some people it's like, bro, you asked me to be a bridesmaid and you're making me pay all these things like just to kind of be
Oh,
put into this
weddings
position.
are expensive as hell.
Yeah, for the people who aren't even getting married, I agree.
Oh, one
It's
hundred percent.
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. You got to buy plane tickets sometimes and everything else.
David says in football, the team that constantly gets close to winning a championship and doesn't win is called the bridesmaid. Ah.
Don't talk to me about your sports ball games, David.
Adam says hi to all. Hope everyone is good. What's going on, Adam?
Oh, and shout out to
We're having
David,
a
man, because
blast.
I know that he's mad because my Dallas Cowboys did in fact win on Monday Night Football.
Oh, is
Just gotta
David a
throw that
Giants
in there.
fan?
Thank gosh, Cooper Rush. They're gonna have to give him a contract.
Oh gosh.
He's playing better than Dak right now. I got to tell you,
Don't
man.
don't give Jones any ideas, man. We don't need you to put any crazy ass ideas in
I
Jones'
already
head.
told you my horns are holding up my halo today. I've been off.
Yeah, I
I
got to
told
say
y'all before we got on the show.
one more thing. Pollard is running back number one. He should be the starter. Zeke should be coming off the bench. The stats don't lie.
Stats don't lie.
Well,
There you go. Uh
but
oh.
how do you wake up? It's just like it's the Conor McGregor thing. Real quick segue, less than 15 seconds. The Conor
Please.
McGregor thing, where he went to go back to fight after that money fight with Floyd Mayweather. It's really hard to wake up on velvet sheets and want to get punched in the face in the morning. That's the problem with these big contracts and NFL players. You wake up in velvet sheets. Okay, I get fired tomorrow. Okay, I have $100 million. Sorry, see ya. I'm not gonna really try to get my neck broken today. You know,
There you go. There you
but
go.
it's what it
Lozano
is.
says he's been a Cowboys fan since birth, and probably going to the Cowboys Texans game next.
We were
Ooh.
at the same game, David. Shout out. You should have hit me up, but you didn't because we're not friends apparently.
You're a Texans fan. That's all we need to know.
Whatever beer you're drinking tonight, do not drink that. Go back to Miller Lite next week.
Are you
David knows I love him.
Maddie's a Texan fan? You're a Texan fan?
No, I'm actually I don't have a specific team per se.
Oh man.
I really like
Hold
Baker
on, hold
Mayfield
on.
when he got drafted to the Browns, so I was on that for a minute. But I'm about to bandwagon right now because my girl's a big time Dolphins fan. 3-0, Tua Tagovailoa, Waddle. You got Tyreek Hill. I might just buy a jersey. I'm just gonna go Dolphins the rest of the year. I think.
I got no faith in the Dolphins, dude.
Well, as a Cowboys fan, you have to
I
have
don't got
faith in
faith in the
everybody.
Cowboys either, man. Come on, it's the Cowboys, dude.
Yeah, it's the
The best team
Cowboys.
in the NFC East right now, hands down, is going to be the
Could you
Philadelphia
imagine?
Eagles.
Could you imagine the season the Dolphins had last year? Though, has that ever happened ever before? Where you lose every game for your first half of the season, you lose every single game, and then you win every single game the next season, and then you start the next season 3-0.
Oh, I get it,
Mhm.
They
man.
went
But
500 and won every game on the second half of the schedule after losing the first half, and now they're 3-0. That's a lot of momentum, Joe.
It
a
really
lot of
is.
momentum, but still, you have to beat some of the better teams in the league.
No, their
We're going to
schedule's
see.
super easy. Their schedule's
Dan
super easy this year. They
Daniel
already beat the
says
Bills.
he's a Johnny Manziel fan. And real quickly, we're gonna get off this topic
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
of She-Hulk, but real quickly, now that in retrospect, we've had the same outcome every year as Cowboys fans. Let's go back in time and just draft Johnny Manziel when we had the chance, just to see what would have happened. Maybe it would have been even of worse records, but at least we would have had more fun doing it. That's all I got to say about that. Lozano says Matty B has Manziel energy tonight. Yeah, he does. He's on fire. He's on fire. Do the walk. Do the walk with the shoulders.
No, that's the
Johnny,
Conor McGregor walk. That's the billionaires.
Johnny used to do that for a second. Oh, then
That's
he
the
did the
Vince
money.
McMahon. That's the Vince McMahon
Johnny copied all
billionaire
that thing,
strut.
and then he did
Yeah,
the money thing.
and
Money
then
Manziel.
yeah, and then Conor basically did the same thing. Conor McGregor.
Cowboys wouldn't have Zach Martin if they drafted Manziel. All right, good point. Good point.
But they should have got Colt McCoy from when he was in Texas because what better quarterback could you ever have for the Dallas Cowboys than a guy who came from Texas University and then his name was Colt McCoy.
Yeah, but Colt McCoy proved that he was just nothing more
No,
than a
but
backup.
yeah, at a team that didn't want him, if he was loved at the Cowboys, he might have done great.
Nah, he was always a backup. He's fool's gold, man.
Here
Cool
we go. Here
name.
we go.
No.
Next up is the hot D, as Matty B always calls it. His
It is.
favorite, discussion of the night. This is episode 6, titled "The Princess and the Queen," and the summary goes a little something. Ooh, wait, pause real quick. I asked my spouse about being a bridesmaid, and I apologize if anybody watches it. I was gonna ask her in the future, but I asked her. I said, honest question, being a bridesmaid, is it fun or do you dread being asked? And she put in all caps, exclamation point, dread. There you go. There you have it. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 6, The Princess and the Queen, Hot D, House of the Dragon. Let's fast forward 10 years, shall we? Rhaenyra gives birth. This is her third son. Alicent believes none of them are Lenore's, but actually they are Sir Harwin's. Damon has a family of his own with Lady Lena, the daughter of Rhaenys and Lord Corlys. Talia looks an awful lot like the Red Witch Melisandre. Lena, during a difficult childbirth, orders her dragon Vagar to take her life, and we end the episode with the queen setting forth a plan, inadvertently maybe, to kill Sir Harwin. Gentlemen, episode 6 of House of the Dragon. What are your biggest takeaways? Maddie B, we'll start with you this time.
I think it's a masterclass in TV. It's an incredible way to take that 10-year jump, and in a lot of ways, and I don't normally like to do the after, because I usually wait for the preview of the next episode, but after that they do this sort of behind the scenes thing. I typically don't like to check those because I don't like to be taken out of the world that I'm in. I don't want to view the characters as their actors. I want to finish the show and then watch that stuff later. But I did catch the beginning of that portion of the show where they were saying they basically had to do a second pilot, because you're jumping ahead 10 years. You're introducing new actors in these roles. And I thought that this episode did that tremendously. And I loved where Rhaenyra was at, that her badass scene of walking with the afterbirth. We know what that means, the P word, not the one you're thinking of, but the second P word you think of. And she's walking up the stairs. She's struggling and it's insane how they're going through it. And then Alicent hits what's his name? Her who's Rhaenyra married to? What's his name again?
Hang on,
Lyris.
hang on.
Lyris, is that right?
Lenore.
Laenor. Maybe keep trying, because they all know that she's getting laid up by her knight, which she has a habit of, right? So they kept that habit with Rhaenyra, because her first was with her knight, and then she carried on a relationship with a different knight later. And speaking of Mr. Crush Bones, or whatever his name was, he's still not over it. And it's still, no, and, like, dude, it's been 10 years, bro. But still, he's playing to Alicent's hand. And then we get the king, and he's missing an arm, I think, in this, right?
Ooh, good call out. Yeah, I think you're right.
And then we have the probably, and I was talking to Lauren about this because remember, I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but Larys might be one of the most twisted folks in all of Game of Thrones, period.
Oh, just wait till you watch the original. Just wait.
But I mean, there might be a couple others you could throw in there. She said like Littlefinger, something with somebody with the name of Bastard or whatever. But she was saying that Larys is, I mean, that move he pulled with Alicent at the end, where he killed his father and his brother, and she's in shock. I mean, that's insane. The level of going through. And I have a theory that maybe that rat, remember the rat that was going in the king's kingdom? That's a shapeshifter, I think. I think that I think that maybe Clubfoot or somebody, that's Larys, by the way. I call him that because he limps around. But maybe Larys, either him or somebody close to him, is able to turn into that rat. And that's why the king was kind of looking at him like that. Like, you're always around, and my secrets keep getting out. What is this? And so I'm very interested to see how that might work out. But the best scene in this period whatsoever is Aegon just naked fapping in the sunshine. We've seen that move before, right? Didn't even in a few other shows we've seen recently.
The Boys, it's
remind me of that.
It's a Homelander.
What was that old song from way back when? Glistening in the sun.
But Fight Club too, right? Didn't Brad Pitt do that in Fight Club?
Yeah, I think he did.
Wow.
I think there was something like that, but it's
I don't know how I
I
forgot
thought it
about
was
that.
awesome. I thought it was awesome. This is good TV. When I talk about good TV, I'm like, wow, this is really incredibly good TV. It's very hard to go from She-Hulk to watch this. That's why I'm so salty today. But this is really really good. I love this episode.
Daniel says, worst episode of the season. Hated all of it. Worse than the last season of Game of Thrones. Wow, that's pretty bad.
He's trolling. He's just that's a troll.
He might be right because David says, I hate Sir Christian's heel turn. Ooh, maybe that's why Daniel hates it too. David says, Grayskull seems to have taken Viserys' left arm, and the rats are foreshadowing a big storyline. Ooh, yeah, yeah. These are based on several storylines from the books, but we are seeing some variances. And for anybody who is not familiar, um, forget her name now, Lady Lena. The way she died is actually different in the books. I kind of like this one better, but her child dies
I thought it was the
either
same.
in sorry, maybe I shouldn't spoil the books. But let's just say the way that Lady Lena dies is different in the books than it was in the show, and I kind of like this way better. So it was more dramatic, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised her child. Spoiler alert for all this, by the way. I'm surprised her child died. Anybody else surprised by that? If you are a Targaryen, you are supposed to be sort of immune to fire, if I'm not mistaken. So shouldn't the child have lived unless it's only pure blood Targaryens that are immune to fire?
I think it died. That's why she killed herself.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think that had happened yet. I thought maybe
I,
there was some more time.
yeah,
Well,
no,
it didn't
I
say
had,
it.
I was under the same assumption. That's why she went ahead and told the dragon to kill him, to kill her, not kill her and
Dracon,
the infant.
you know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. David says that's apparently the same window that a certain Game of Thrones character jumped out of. Wink, if you know, you know. Yes, we do know. Matt doesn't know though, but he will figure it out one day, I'm sure. And Daniel says, "Nah, it was pretty bad. They flipped Rhaenyra and Damon's characters on their head. You know, I don't think Damon could ever really change. I just feel like he knows when to sort of go crazy, and he also knows when to take advantage of a situation. And right now, he's just kind of going around playing the mercenary, right? He's playing the hired gun.
I
Uh,
took it. I
who
took it
needs
like he
help?
did care.
Really? Well, I mean, in the sense that, like, him taking on a bride, having a family that's Valerian, is beneficial for him. Whenever something is beneficial, he's not going to screw it up. But when things sort of turn a little bit, his true colors will come out once again. I think he's just, biding his time, and we'll see good old Damon once again.
I do agree a little bit though, where it's like, 'cause with you on he'll show his true colors. I think sometimes he is showing his true colors, and in this episode, I found a little bit different from him. So, Lena, before she even passes away, is standing with him, and they're talking about the offer, and she's giving him hell about reading these books in a library and obsessing about things he says he doesn't obsess about, and she wants to travel. He's amusing this idea of possibly staying there. Um, and the way he looks over at her and she's like yelling at him, and then she kind of cuts him deep on something. And the way he said Lena to her was like caring. He's like, don't say that. You know, I love you. It's almost like saying, I love you and I do care about you. And then you can see when his daughters are sitting there at the end and they're sobbing, he sort of turns away and he's like, he has to reflect in this moment a little bit because now his plan that whatever he had set forward, he either has to rethink. But I think it did affect him a little bit. I think it did kind of hit him kind of hard, you know. And Rhaenyra's hardened because she's been pumping out babies and doing nothing
Joe,
but that with somebody who's
Joe,
not.
Joe, jump in any time, man. I know we haven't gotten to
No,
you yet.
I was, thinking about things, and one of the things that I had done too is I had read some of the books based on a recommendation of one of my friends, so I know what's going to happen. And the thing is like the rats are dictating something that's going to happen in the future, and it's very telling too because the rats actually mimic what's happening with the king, Viserys. The decay of his body is also prominent because it represents the decay of the kingdom per se. And the other thing about that too is the rats are also a prelude to what's going on right underneath the king and Prince Rhaenyra's nose. There's a lot of things that are treacherous, that are happening right in front of them, but they're just turning a blind eye to it. So the rats are foreshadowing some big things that are going to be coming up. And like David said, blood and cheese. If you read the books, you kind of know what he's talking about. I'm not going to ruin it for everybody here, but there's some big things coming up, and
Oh snap!
some big things coming up. And right now, with this 10-year time jump and the way the episode ended itself, now the shit's about to get real, because you heard what did Rhaenyra say, because you see the way that the dynamic changed between her and Alicent. Each one of these, people now, which used to be friends, they have their own agendas. I believe Alicent's father finally made her realize she needs to be fighting for her kids' lives, and she's doing everything she can to make sure that she's making Rhaenyra's life here in the kingdom absolutely miserable. She's doing everything she can to just keep on picking at her and just making her feel um, like she is less than nothing. She's going out of her way to do that, and you can see that it's taking a toll on Allison Hightower as well, because there was a scene where she looked like she was just about to break down. There was a lot of things going on, and she was just overwhelmed. And Rhaenyra finally said, "You know what? It's time for me to go back to Dragonstone. I should have done this a long time ago." And then what do you see at the end of the episode? You see Damien in one of these, um, like they do. Hey, next week we're gonna show you this. Seeing them all together is a prelude of things to come, and this is where you know that okay, things are going to start getting real now. Some real treacherous, devious shit's about to happen. You all like Game of Thrones? You know how you always say it's going to get real Game of Thrones. It's about to get real Game of Thrones now. Now the real shit's going to happen.
It is interesting. I'm actually a little disappointed that we all expected this time jump. I thought it would be a little bit, I don't know, a softer time jump. It was a hard time jump, and yeah, I'm gonna miss these characters, all the young versions of themselves, and but I am interested to see what happens. Let's see here. Need to get caught up on the chat here. Daniel says Rhaenyra went from a badass warrior girl to being paranoid of her stepmom. I mean, her stepmom is kind of a bee. Her BFF, who started, sleeping with her dad. Damon got kind of soft, it seemed, in this 10-year time jump. David says a little bit. But again, I feel like when he's in the right situation, he will make sure to take advantage of a situation that benefits him until it doesn't benefit him anymore.
You can
Daniel
tell that
says,
Damon's depressed though. He misses home, even though he says he doesn't. He's longing for something more. And what he's been given, his life right now is a far contrast from what he's used to. And now he has these children in his life. He has a wife now in his life, and you can tell he has admiration and love for them, but there's just something missing, and that is the call to being, called home, being with your family, even though he might not say it. I believe that that's what's ailing him, you know
And being the second son, he
yeah.
still wants to find a way within all these texts and libraries to find a way to be the king. And that leads to my prediction that I have from this episode, and I want to see if you guys agree with me. I think he's like this. Lena dying is a way for him to get back to Westeros, where he can actually hook up with Rhaenyra, and then that will give her the silver-haired son that everybody is asking for. But that is going to set everything else up because her husband, Rhaenyra's husband, is not going to be able to make it happen apparently. So he's going to come in, and I think they're going to work something out where they hook up, and then she'll be able to produce a silver haired heir that'll please Alicent and the rest of the kingdom to being the rightful heir.
Well, you're not far off there, Maddie, but there's still a lot of more. There's going to be a lot more to come. There's going to be a lot of things to get you there. You still have to go through a lot of shit just to get to
But
that
that's the end
point.
result. That's where I'm like my head is going with the
No,
story.
I'm
So,
saying like you're on the right path, but I'm saying there's a lot of things that are going to happen, and before you start seeing all these other things unfold. I mean, to me, there's going to be more than just one season, of course, of House of the Dragon, but the things are going to start getting real interesting as everybody's jockeying for position to kind of outdo the other.
yeah,
They're
and that's
right
the
now they're
Game of
really playing.
Thrones, right?
They're really playing. They're going to really start playing chess. They're
Mm.
looking for that checkmate. And once you all see what's really going to unfold, you're going to be like, man, this is getting good. So you're at that jumping off point right now. So there's a lot more things to come. So it's going to
And
get
it's
interesting.
cool. It's
Yeah.
interesting as my first entrance into the world. I didn't watch Game of Thrones, so it's really cool to watch this as like my first stepping off point, as if you will.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go.
Even the bitterness between Rhaenyra and Sir Christian, is
Well, even
unrivaled.
10 years have passed. You don't think get over it, bro?
Like he's the jealous girlfriend at this point. It's like, get over it, bro. You
And
know?
he didn't want it. He basically turned down the situation, so he
Yeah.
has no room to complain.
So, what do you think about the bullying of the? So, Aegon is the firstborn son to the king. There's a middle child, right, or the second son. I
Second
forget
son.
his name, but the cousins in them, they're kind of messing with each other, and then they bring out the pig with the
The wings,
dragon
'cause
wings.
they don't have a dragon.
That's
Hysterical.
it's hilarious,
Yeah.
and it just goes to show. So, and then this is something for my Game of Thrones fans. Help me out with this question. So, only the male can pass on the silver hair
Potentially,
because
but I'm not really sure.
because the king hooked up like he had kids with Alicent, and they have blonde hair. And then Rhaenyra, she has blonde hair. She hooked up with someone with you know dark
Silver hair.
features. No, she hooked up with someone with dark features. She had two dark featured kids, and that's why she's getting hell right now, right? So, is only the male can pass on
I don't
that
know. At this point,
those
it's
features?
looking very much like that.
Okay, because that's what
Yeah,
I was
he
wondering.
looks
I
like
was
it.
like, well, that's kind of weird because he Allison has red hair, but so I didn't know if that was like established in the universe or what.
I just think it's looking like that in the way that
It,
they're telling the story.
in the original series, you had kids with uh, brown hair or red hair, and their parents might have had brown or red hair. So I think it might not matter as much. But the fact that you had Rhaenyra and you had Lenor, who both have very light hair. Lenor, who has silver hair, and Rhaenyra that has blonde hair, and none of their kids have either one. So
Yeah,
they're all dark-haired kids. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a maester to figure out what exactly is happening behind closed doors. Daniel says, I did feel bad about Viserys. It's been 10 years of either pissing off either his wife or his daughter. He's probably just like, kill me now. Kill me now. David says, glad Otto Hightower is coming back to the show. Dr. Connors from Amazing Spider Man. Let's see here. David also says, I don't think so. Just a random gene. And Daniel says, he told the long story of the horses, and basically it's a toss up. Ah, there you go. I wasn't paying attention to the horse story. I was just like, whatever.
yeah, but Allison shut that horse story down quick. She wasn't dealing with it at all. And the political move that Rhaenyra made, and her father obviously out of touch with the kingdom and everything, and just being like, "Oh, what a great proposal! Oh my gosh, yes, marry your cousin."
Man, when the
Um,
king's out of the way, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be kind of
that's
crazy.
that's gonna be kind of nuts.
It's gonna get nuts. It's gonna get absolutely nuts when that happens. Um, I don't have any. Crazy if that Sir Harwin is dead. How will I mean, obviously things are gonna get pick up really quickly here, but how will Rhaenyra respond? That's what I'm very interested in hearing about and seeing. So I'm a little worried on how she's gonna respond, but very interested to see exactly what goes down. Man, the father to her three kids up in flames, right? That's craziness. So yeah, can't wait to see kind of
And
what unfolds
who was
from
the
here.
character in like the brown cloak that had like a bee pin, sort of walking around there towards the
And
end?
those are the
The
hired
the
guns, man.
assassins, yeah, that's why they
Okay,
chopped their tongues off so they couldn't tell them who hired them.
okay, cool. So I didn't like. I was trying to figure that out the whole time. I was like, wait,
Yeah,
oh,
remember they said, "Oh, we're gonna go ahead and give you a reprieve and not hang you
and he cut his tongue off.
if you
Yeah,
do something for us," and that's why they cut their tongues off with a
Hot
very
knife.
hot blade so they can cauterize the wound at the same
yeah,
time. Yeah.
that's
Very
insane.
smart though, very smart. I feel like I've seen that somewhere else. I can't remember where, but yeah, cut their tongues out so they couldn't spill the beans if they get caught. And but they took care of the job. So there you go. Awesome. We want to hear from you guys. What are your biggest takeaways from episode 6 of House of the Dragon? Drop them in the comments, or you can send us a message on Facebook. Or if you're listening to this on the podcast form on an app, you can always email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. We only have one show left to talk about, gentlemen, and I know y'all are both thrilled. It
Rings.
is time for the Rings of Power.
I
I
gotta
know
be
how much
honest.
Maddie loves this show,
No,
man.
I
I
gotta be honest. I've given up on it. I didn't watch this. I didn't watch this episode at all.
wait,
Um,
you won't mind if we spoil it for you.
no,
Yeah,
I won't mind. But
Maddie
I'm gonna have
checked
it.
out.
I'm just going to go to the mute button. I'm gonna have a dance party.
Have a dance party. This is Rings of Power, episode 5, and the summary goes a little bit like this. We open on the Harfoots and the stranger who protects them on their perilous journey. We learn the origins of Mithril. That was pretty dope. Nori gets cold. Adar gets even colder. Theo gives Arondir the hilt, which is also a key. Prince Durin is a real one for helping the elves, and Galadriel, Halbrand, and the Numenor people set sail for Middle Earth. Joe, please tell me you enjoyed episode 5 titled Partings.
I did enjoy episode 5. I'm vested in this thing, dude. I'm not going anywhere. I like Lord of the Rings and I like this show. I'm interested to see where everything's gonna go. Seeing what's going on with Nori and her family and the Harfoots and how they got themselves in trouble, and they got the wolves to chase after them here. And then who comes and saves them but the stranger? But the stranger showed just, how powerful he can be. But it also shows that when he hits the ground with his hand, and sends these wolves flying back, that there is something that happened to him as well because he seemed injured or depleted, you know, and he had to recharge. He's kind of some type of elemental because he goes up and tries to recharge his powers or heal himself by using water, and of course that's when things start getting a little cold, as he starts enchanting. He starts saying some chant, and everything starts to freeze, and then Nori's getting scared and she goes up and tries to help him and tell him, hey, that's enough, and then she starts getting cold and she starts freezing up. I thought she was about to lose an arm, and then of course she gets scared, she falls back, he breaks the trance or what have you. And I think she's starting to realize that this dude ain't what he appears to be. Even though she thinks he's a good person, we're starting to find out slowly but surely. I don't think he is, Ted. He's nefarious in the way he goes about things. I think he feels like he can be a good person with the Harfoots and especially Nori, but you can see that there's something amiss here, you know. And interesting, because we all kind of suspected that. So I want to see exactly where that's going to go. But even with Galdriel, and what's going on over there with that kingdom, and they sit and sell and all that, it's leading up. to set these events in motion here that we already know are about to happen. So it's just, again, it's almost like House of the Dragon, where everything's getting you know put into position. Now they're getting ready to play the game. They're really starting to get ready to play chess here, and things are about to get real as we find out that the townsfolk are now starting to give up, and they want to go ahead and just surrender, and the one lone elf there is telling them not to. But as we start seeing, even if they were to surrender, the outcome for them is not going to be good. It's going to be one that's going to be very dire, as they're going to be made to work, and basically they're going to not gain their freedom, but they're going to acquire their enslavement. And they're probably going to die a miserable death, just working themselves to death. So it looks like things are not looking good for the townsfolk. Let's put it like that, Ted.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I was hoping that after the end of the last episode that things were going to be progressing a little bit more, but no, this was just like we're going to start training people before we actually set out. I was like, you sons of bitches. All right, whatever, that's fine. So one more episode. Hopefully, next one things will get going. This is more of like another setup. Last week was a little bit of a setup, but now
Oh, I
we've
was
we've
going to
set
tell you.
sail. We better not have a whole episode at sea. That's all I'm saying. We
Well,
better not have a whole
I
episode
have a theory
of
for
just
you.
them on a ship. Well,
I
hang
have
on,
a
hang on,
theory
hang on,
for you.
hang on, hang on. Save that real quick. David says ranks, and he also says they said Silmaril. Yes, they did. Also got to see a Balrog. I didn't know there was more than one. I thought there was one.
No, there's yeah.
Daniel says I watched the other half, and David says he's also invested. Daniel says still hate the Harfoots. Everything else was good. David says, "Who do you think? Who do you guys think the stranger is?" Joe, you give your point, and then we'll talk about the stranger a
I
little bit.
just Okay. My thing is Adar. The father of the orcs. They all call him father.
Yeah.
I think he is the brother of Galdriel. That's what I think. They haven't seen
Oh,
each other,
you bastard!
and I believe that she believes that he is dead, but he's not dead. He's still alive. She hasn't seen him yet. So to me, that's going to be a big moment if they wind up crossing paths. You know.
Damn it,
Now,
Joe.
now, who do I think the stranger is? I think the stranger is basically he might be a dark wizard, a mage, or however you want to put it. That's what I think.
David figured it out. David's spoiling everything for us. Adar is Benjen Stark in Game of Thrones. The same actor? Is that what you're trying to say? The same actor?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do not recognize him without facial hair.
yeah.
Awesome.
It's the
Um,
makeup.
the Stranger. I posed my theory last week that the Stranger is some sort of warlock, wizard, but evil, right? So warlock or sorcerer, and he's definitely some part of some kind of weird prophecy, right? I think he is some part of Sauron. I don't know exactly how that works out, but I do feel like without the stranger, there is no Sauron. Maybe there's two parts of him, and Adar might be the other part. And maybe when they sort of come together, they can form what we know as the entity Sauron. But I do believe, like Joe's already mentioned, we've been talking about this for weeks, that the stranger, his purpose is a nefarious one. He can only conjure up like dark magic, and it's lethal and deadly to living things around him.
Well, we saw in the
So
beginning of the episode, they saw those people coming to look for him. Those are the people that summoned him here.
there you go. And they also look very nefarious.
Yeah, they don't look like they're up to good
No,
stuff.
no, no, no. They look like they're on the bad team. Yeah. Let's see here. David says Galadriel had more than one brother. Ooh, because we saw Finrod's corpse. I kind of thought we did too. At least I thought we saw like a casket, but maybe it's just playing in her head that way. Maybe it's not necessarily evidence of him. I love how Matt's just sitting there and he has no idea what we're talking about. Does he? Can he hear us? Maybe he can't hear
I think he
us.
can. He can hear you.
Can you hear us? Maybe you can't hear us.
I could sit in a room for 100 years watching paint dry, and you know. But no, I'm having a great time actually. It's not my show, so I'm just sitting back and enjoying watching as a fan. I'm just being a fan.
There
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
what
There you
we're
go.
talking about, Daniel. We talked about the creepy looking elf person at the crater site. They're there looking for the person they summoned, which is the stranger.
So yeah, Joe thinks they're the reason why he's here to begin with. I also feel like they are a part of some like mystical cult. They probably have dark magic of their own. They look that the type. Either that or they're a part of a European heavy metal band, and that's just what I think. And then Daniel says that blonde. Oh, sorry, that elf looks like blonde, skinny 11. There you go. There you go. David says 8 Mile elf. There you go. Yeah, that's it. Oh man, awesome. Again, I feel like last week was a build up, and I thought this was going to be no more build up. We're going to get going to a couple of things. This was another build up, so I hope we're just not building up to the finale of season one, and that's just going to be what we're leading, kind of building up towards. I hope there's other moments, hopefully the next episode, where we kind of see a little bit more action, maybe some fighting, kind of figure out what's going on here a little bit more. But it is all very interesting, and I will say that all very very interesting. Yeah, that's kind of, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for things to really kind of move forward. The story about how Mithril was sort of conjured up, I really dug that. I thought that was pretty dope.
I thought
It
the
was
animation was good there too, telling the story.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I loved all that stuff. That was really cool. And then for Prince Durin to kind of help out the elves to begin with. Again, I said in my summary, he's a real one. How could you not love this guy? Prince Durin is an absolute treasure, and no pun intended. But
I love the way he was trolling the elves, though. He gave them that bullshit story about where the slate came from and told them that he needed it back, and he's like, "You made that story up about the table." He's like, "Yeah, no shit, but I just want to see him work."
let's see here. David says top notch CGI. That's where all the money's going, bro. All the money's going there. It's pretty awesome.
It's beautiful to look at, I mean, Rings of Power is a really cinematic masterpiece when it comes to the scope and what they've been able to do with it. They spend a lot of money on the production quality, and you can tell, you know.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I also, I enjoyed the little moments. Galadriel, sparring with the soldiers. I thought that was all done really well. The choreography and all that. It's good. I enjoy it. It's entertaining. I also, certain parts were very moving. I felt like by the end of this episode, just seeing those ships sail off, very moving. It's kind of pulled on the heartstrings a little bit. Um, it's very beautiful. It's a great moment, but I don't want to see any more. No more build-ups. None. Let's go. Like, don't give me another build-up episode. I don't want a stepping stone. I want to get to places. I want to see stuff go down. Maybe that'll happen next episode. Battle at Sea. Let's see what happens then. Daniel says my biggest prediction: there will be a season two. You know what? Maddie's gonna put some money on that, and he's gonna say there's not gonna be a season two. So there you go.
No, there will be. I'm not
You
watching
know
it,
what?
but there will be.
Maddie, I feel your pain, man. I really do, because he just can't. He's just not vested in the show. It doesn't do nothing for him. It's not interesting to him. And that's exactly the same way that I felt about Halo. We reviewed Halo from the beginning all the way to the bitter end, and that was a hard series to get through.
That
So
was
I feel
tough.
your pain, Maddie. I feel
It
your
was,
pain.
no, Halo was a tough watch. I remember I was just kind of getting started with Ted of trying to invite me on to the the Geekcast at the time that show was premiering, and it was a tough watch. I would watch the Rings of Power 1,000 times before I ever try to rewatch season one of Halo.
Yeah, it was a
That's the
hot one.
hardest. It's the hardest show to watch. Tough watch. A tough watch.
Tough, real tough. Oh, we fought through all that, all of us. And again, you guys are always saying that I love everything we watch and that we talk about. That was clearly one that I was not on board with from the get go. So
You
there
know
you
what?
go.
It was so bad,
There
man.
you go.
Jericho couldn't even get through half the episode one, the pilot episode.
We
Jericho
gotta
couldn't
check.
do it.
We gotta check
I
back with him and
actually
see if
I
he
like
ever got through one.
the first two. I was still invested in Halo. I have like a 3 to 4 episode rule. If you can't catch me by 3 4, I can't invest time in it because I watch a lot of TV. So
No,
if you don't catch me by 3 4, I'm out.
Came out.
by the end of episode one, I was already like, why are we scared of the Spartans that are supposed to be the heroes of this show? This doesn't make any sense. You better explain this. And I waited 8, 9, 10 episodes for them to explain to me why we should be afraid of Spartans, and I didn't buy it. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
But Rings of Power, we want to hear from you guys. What are your theories going forward? Drop them in the comments. What are your biggest takeaways from episode 5? We only have 9 episodes, so only 4 more episodes to go, and I'm really interested. But this is sort of like the Star Wars prequels. We know this ends badly. I feel like we're just we're watching a car crash in slow motion. We know that these orcs are going to take over this area, and it's not going to end well for the humans, the elves, for the dwarves, anybody really.
Yeah, not
But
gonna end well for Middle Earth, period.
no, 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 not at all. So I am excited, but I'm also worried. Like, when does stuff hit the fan? That's what I'm really interested
I
in
think
finding
I
out.
think it's about to, Ted, because we're already more than what halfway through the season, so
Yeah,
it's gonna
absolutely.
pick up. They're forced to pick up.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, this has been a very long but fantastic episode. We got through a lot. Thanks everybody for watching. Lastly, I'm just gonna quickly plug that I was fortunate enough to attend as press to the Fantastic Fest at the Alamo Draft House on South Lamar in Austin, Texas, and I was able to catch a handful of films. All were really good in their own way. These are all like B level indie horror or sci-fi movies. So here's me posing with Ultraman. They did a 4K remaster of an Ultraman, and then I think they also did a new Ultraman film called Shin Ultraman, and this was the costumed person. Great suit, by the way. Freaking love the suit. I used to watch the Americanized Ultraman show that came out in like the '90s as a kid,
Yeah.
so it was pretty cool seeing him in person.
It
I
was right up
didn't
there with the Power Rangers, Teddy.
I would, yeah, definitely, definitely. I would even say certain things I liked better that Ultraman did, but
Oh yeah.
all in all,
Ultraman was huge.
I had a great time in Austin. It's a fantastic festival. There's still 2 more days that they're going to be doing this, and there's going to be like more news coming out of it because there's like secret movies that they don't announce to the public or the attendees. One of them was Marvel's
Werewolf by
Werewolf by Night.
Night. Mhm.
So one day I missed it. One day,
That
and I
was
could
on
have seen.
Sunday, right? Sunday
I
or
could have.
Saturday?
It was Sunday night, and I wasn't there that day. I was driving up from Corpus, so I could have had a chance to watch Werewolf by Night. But also 50-50 amongst the crowd goers. These are the type of people that don't want to see a Marvel movie at a film festival. So a lot of people were actually disappointed, and that's just what I've heard and I've read about, and what people were talking about while I was there. All this to say that we are dropping some brief reviews of some upcoming movies, some movies that were world premiered at this festival in Austin. So
Oh, Ryan,
I
man.
want you guys to follow, subscribe, like, and then check back so that you can check out our reviews of some really awesome movies. Let's see here.
Ryan
I
says
need
Werewolf by Night. He says, "Yeah, I heard so many critics say it was a letdown." That is not true because from what I've been seeing, the pulse from the people who actually got to see it at Fantastic Fest, the majority of people said it was amazing and it was so good, and they said that there was so much violence in Werewolf by Night, so much so that they were surprised at what Disney was able to, kind of sneak in there because they didn't have it in color. It was in black and white. So I think
Yeah.
Ryan needs to go ahead and check that out and then give us a
Yeah,
review.
and I had also heard because Fantastic Fest was not the first time Werewolf by Night has been shown, but the social media embargo was lifted this weekend as well. So we got a lot of reviews from folks who had seen it, and the use of black and white, the use of the character, it's instantly rewatchable. A lot of the highlights that I've seen have been completely in the positive direction on this thing, and I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah,
you, Maddie. I think it's going to be one of the most unique, you know, s- little
Marvel
mini
project.
movies that have come out in a while on Disney Plus. Nonetheless, I bet you there's going to be some backlash because parents are going to feel that it's kind of inappropriate for their kids. But hey, you got to like what you're seeing out of Disney. At least they're taking the plunge.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And just so I'm clear about it, I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. What I'm saying is it's sort of out of place at this type of film festival
Oh, no
where
doubt.
people go for very artistic or foreign
A
films.
B movies. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The majority of these films are foreign films. I watched a French. I think all my films were foreign films. I might be mistaken. But the second movie I watched was a French film, somewhat sci-fi. And then the last film I watched was a.
Vesper. You saw Vesper.
I was just about to talk about that. I'm trying to pull up a quick photo of it because David actually asked about it.
Yeah.
David says, "Are you going to get to watch the indie film Vesper?" And so, real quick, I wasn't gonna do this tonight, but I will. I will give you my quick short review because a lot of these films we're not allowed to talk about thoroughly because they haven't been released to the public yet. So we're allowed to say very very little about any of these films. So the movie Vesper, just for David and anybody else who wants to listen, Vesper, I'm going to say is a beautiful dystopian tale of love, hope, perseverance, and everything from the performances to the score are truly inspiring, and I mean that. If you are a fan of sort of these apocalyptic type films, sort of really grounded, with solid performances, this is a great one to watch. The young actress, I forget her name. She's truly remarkable in this film, and I love sort of the story and the world building that they do. It's really cool, and I heard a rumor that there might be some side projects that they do that are built in this sort of universe because the world that they describe is very detailed, and so it makes you want to watch more of it. And I am giving you my review, my what's it called, my approval or my stamp of approval on Vesper. I think it's a great film. I think everybody should watch it. It's definitely one of the favorites. I think that were there. We have plenty more though. I have 3 films I've already seen, with a handful of more to go. So between this week and next week, we'll probably be dropping a bunch of reviews on our YouTube channel. I think, and so be sure to check back for our reviews and our takes on
Yeah.
Vesper and
I
other
wanted to
movies
say
like it.
one thing about Fantastic Fest. Out of the slate of movies that they have available for the public to kind of see, these are the films that they have available if you wanted to go see it. If you're part of Fantastic Fest. One of the films that was very interesting to me was the one that I talked to you about prior to us having our little meeting. I was supposed to go with you on Monday, but due to me having some back problems, I'm not able to be at 100% yet. So you had to go solo. So I apologize for that. I really was looking forward to going with you because I wanted to see Vesper, but Garcia was very interesting to me because basically it's the Spanish version of Captain America, so much so that they are going to be releasing this on HBO Max.
Did you
It's
watch
going
it
to be
already?
No, it's gonna be a worldwide release, and I'm
Okay.
saying this is the one that I was really interested in seeing. So if you all are interested to know more about it, just go to the Fantastic Fest website and pull it up and check it out. But it's very intriguing to me. It's a series as well, so that's something that I'm really excited about watching when it's released on HBO Max.
Ryan says Fantastic Fest is, of course, more artistic films. I think because of having it as a secret screening. Yeah, but also these are like, le- these are critics from all over the country. Some from around the world. The last thing they want is to sit through a Marvel project. And that's just what some people feel, that Marvel is formulaic and there's nothing of substance to them. That's not me, but I'm just saying out loud
It's the
that
consensus because it's a Goliath, a conglomerate. They own
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So I just think if Marvel had Werewolf by Night like on the schedule, and they gave people an option, you would have had a full house, but that full house would have been people that do like Marvel films, as opposed to sort of a random compilation of people that are probably half Marvel fans and half like they don't want to ever touch or sit through a Marvel project. So I think that's just all it is.
They're the ones that are being like, I wouldn't be caught dead watching the Marvel movie, you know?
David says, "Wait till the parents get Wolverine dropping multiple f bombs in Deadpool 3 on Disney Plus." Ryan says, "I hope one of them is the whale." I don't know. I don't know the premise of the whale, but these are either horror or sci-fi, and I feel like the whale might not be one of those. David says, "Vesper looks really good. It's got my stamp of approval, man. Go check it out when it drops. I think it's definitely
Um,
worth the watch.
I was
It
kinda
looks."
jealous of you, Teddy, because you got to watch it. That's the one that I was eyeing.
I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. It was on, you know what? It was either that or it was Ultraman in 4K, and I'm like, I know Ultraman. I'm not gonna drive all the way to Austin to watch something
Yeah,
I'm used to. I want to see something new, so I used your
recommendation?
recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah.
David says I got to see Buried at Fantastic Fest many moons ago. Ryan Reynolds is a big dude in person. Dude, awesome. Ryan says, "Yep, you got it. No Marvel. Yep, yep." And he says he agrees. Cool. Well, all that to say is that you're going to be seeing reviews from myself, from Joe, from Maddie B, and other people on the team. So be sure to check back on our YouTube channel for more reviews and more movies from Fantastic Fest. Great time, um, great, great people, great food, man. I didn't eat anything until I drove up there and had food over at the Draft House on South Lamar. So I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I rarely watch three movies back to back in one day. So yeah, that was a very different experience for me.
Putting in
But
work, Ted, putting in
putting
work.
in work, you know what? But it was exciting, and got to meet a lot of cool people, and I do it again in a heartbeat. If I had more time, I'd totally do it. But Fantastic Fest being late September, early October, it's a really busy time for me. So yeah, wasn't gonna be able to spend too many days over there. Awesome. Appreciate everybody joining us. David says the butt numb athoning. Absolutely. Appreciate everybody for joining us. David, Ryan, Daniel from the Legacy of Nerd, David from the Star Wars Stuff podcast, Ryan from the Alamo City Movie Talk. Also to Paxton, who was in the chat earlier. There's a few other folks. I don't want to miss anybody. Gunner, who joined us, Bryce. Appreciate all you guys for joining us this week. Tomorrow I think we'll have a new Ghost Heads episode. Is that right, Matt? You're still on
Yeah,
mute.
you're on mute.
Well,
We'll
that's
have a
probably
new
no,
episode for the Ghost Heads
definitely,
Radio. Definitely. Would you
absolutely.
like to tease what tomorrow's episode is going to be about?
Bill Murray in the flesh. Gonna feature on the show. No, but seriously, we're gonna have another franchise as always. We're gonna keep pushing the toy drive as always. Ghost Heads tomorrow is going to be electric because I'm back in the saddle, baby. Been out of pocket for a minute. I'm back in the saddle. Tomorrow's show is going to be awesome. I have a few guests. I think we might bring on 2 chapters tomorrow. I'm trying to work that out. We're going to have a fantastic show, and we're going to start at 7:30 Central Standard Time sharp.
That early, huh?
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We'll start when I tell you we start, and that'll be at the time
Ooh.
that maybe 5 minutes before we even decide. So we'll figure it out.
Be following up. We might have to start at a very different time tomorrow, but we shall see.
We'll
Awesome.
see.
And then Thursday, be sure to check out the Countdown City WrestleCast. They're gonna have another great show. They have a lot of local events to talk about and a few pay-per-view events to discuss. So for the Geekcast, my name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me as always is the one and only Joe Garcia.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and also share this video. We do this all for you guys. So again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Maddie and also for Teddy for, being gracious enough to put up with me because I'm in pain right now.
Well, we love you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
You are a trooper, sir. You are a trooper. And last but never least, the one of the awesome dudes on the Ghostbusters radio show, Matty B.
Crushed another can. It's been another great show. The horns are holding up the halo. We're keeping it going, boys. We're rocking that energy till the end of the year.
I love it. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.